The first thing that I do is I have a huge brainstorm of content ideas. And I go through that and I try to find 8 of them, 8 ideas with decent keywords behind them. Because I'm new, I don't just want to create any content. I want to create content with some search power behind it.
Welcome to the Online Genius Podcast, where host and renegade thinking beer brewing lawyer turned online entrepreneur Bobby Klink proves that building and protecting your online genius doesn't have to be rocket science. Bobby and his expert guests break down online marketing and the legal stuff so you can stop sweating the small stuff and get back to building your amazing business. Now, here's your host, Bobby Klink.
Hey there, welcome to episode 64 of the Online Genius Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Klink. And I'm excited for today's show because I'm talking to one of my online friends. And we're talking about a subject that I can honestly say I can't help you with. It's not something that I know how to do, but it's something I wish I knew how to do. Specifically, we're going to talk about building a YouTube channel and using video and YouTube to build your platform. Now, this is something that I've thought about a lot of times. I've had these various kind of wild hairs that I'm going to do it, but I've never done it. And so I thought it would be useful to bring someone on who's actually in the trenches doing it and can give some really good advice. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. It's all about building your YouTube channel. But before we get there, this week's episode, as always, is brought to you by the Online Genius podcast community on Facebook. I, again, love coming to you, talking to you during these episodes. They're a lot of fun, but I really love going back and forth and having a two-way conversation. And that is something that can only happen in some other forum. And that's what the community is all about. It's a chance to kind of go deeper, to chat with me, to ask questions, to meet other like-minded entrepreneurs who are trying to do it right. So I'd love for you to join me. It's absolutely free. And you can join by heading over to youronlinegenius.com/community. Again, youronlinegenius.com/community. Now, today's guest expert is Tara Wagner. Now, Tara is someone that I met through Amy Porterfield's B-School bonus community. And we actually got to meet in real life at an event. And she is a belief breakthrough coach who helps female entrepreneurs kind of break through the mental stuff that can get in their way. And, she does that, but that's not why I had her on the show today. I brought her on the show because I knew she was building a YouTube channel. And she started during that event where I met her in real life, put on by Amy Porterfield. And she had some really interesting ideas of how to do it and how to kind of get herself some initial buzz and all of the different things. So I thought it would be wonderful to bring her on. And again, she openly admits, and she told me when I first approached her that she wasn't sure this was a subject she could really talk about because she's not someone who's an expert at it. But that's why I wanted to bring her on, because she's someone in the trenches. She's not someone who's out there trying to sell products to get to get people to start building YouTube channels, etc. She's someone who's actually doing it, and she gives you a true, honest assessment of what's involved, the good, the bad, the ugly, things that she wished she knew before she started. And so I thought it would be truly valuable to have someone like that come on and talk about it, because I honestly believe that if you have the time, the energy, and all of that to put into building a YouTube channel, it's probably one of the best forms of content. The reason why is, you can start with the written word, but then if you go to hearing my voice, you're connecting with me more than you would if you were reading a blog post from me. And if you're actually seeing me in video, it has an even greater impact. And so I think, my view is that YouTube and other kinds of video channels are a great way to build your platform, but it takes a lot of work. And Tara is not going to lie about that. She's not going to try to convince you that it's easy. And so I thought it would be great to have her on. And she delivered a ton of value in this interview. So I hope you'll listen up. And after you listen up, I hope you'll go and follow her, subscribe if the stuff that she's talking about are things that you're interested in. She is a great resource and you're going to get some great value. So without further ado, let's go to the interview. Welcome to the show, Tara.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Now, listeners, what you don't know is I've known Tara for, I don't know, we met online, I don't know, about a year ago, not quite a year ago, but about that. And I got to meet her in real life. And she has a way with words. She is one of my testimonials that she gives all kinds of testimonials. And I love quoting her just because they're all funny. So I love that about you. And I also apologize. I don't even know if you remember this. I was calling you Tara for a long time.
Yeah, everybody does that. That's my nickname. I'll just go with it.
And I still think that way for some reason. When you know, that's what
everybody does.
But so I wanted to have you on the show because you have been, kind of building a YouTube channel. And I know absolutely positively nothing about YouTube other than that I've got repurpose.io sending my podcast over there.
Cool.
So
I'm going to sound really smart.
Well, you are really smart. I could have used you. I actually thought about reaching out to you recently when I was shooting putting together some testimonial videos. And I'd already uploaded one version and I wanted to replace the videos because I turned the music down and I couldn't even figure out how to do that. I was like, screw it. I'm just going to use what's there.
You can't.
You can't. So I just had to delete and do it again is what I would have needed to do. Okay. Yeah, because I tried to just reload and it said, this is a duplicate. I was like, it's not a duplicate. It sounds different, but whatever. Okay, so I want to start with just getting some details about your YouTube channel. So when did you first launch it and start trying to build it?
I launched it in August with a YouTube live stream, I guess they call it. Like I want to call it like a Facebook Live, a YouTube live stream, and had promoted that out. And I was actually at the Amy Porterfield event in August where we had first connected in person.
Yep.
And I was doing a live stream every night of the event to recap what I was learning. And you can still find those on my YouTube. It was a great way to kick it off because I was able to promote, hey, I'm going to be here. I'm going to do this thing. Subscribe so that you can get notification of when I go live, and I'm going to share, what I learned. And kicked that off in late August, kicked off my regular YouTube content. I believe it was the very next week or the week after that. And then, posting 2 times a week since then.
Okay. And so I'm assuming those live videos were kind of the longest ones you have on your channel?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
And how long were those, just out of curiosity?
The first one was only about 20 minutes. I think the second one was about 40 or 45. And the third one, or maybe the third one was 40 or 45. One of them was a little over an hour.
Okay.
Most of my videos average around 10 minutes. So those are definitely a lot longer, but there's benefits to doing them because you want watch time with YouTube. So if you can get people there live and they're watching for that many minutes, it really helps you out with YouTube. They like to see that people are watching your stuff for that long, and you want to accumulate watch time so that you can turn on ads at some point and, start receiving kind of residual income from this content you're creating. So they're great to do, but they're definitely much longer than what you would normally want to create when you're putting something together for YouTube.
Right. I mean, and I was going to ask you that later, but so you said your normal videos are about 10 minutes long. Is that right?
Yeah, I try to get it between 8 and 10 minutes. There's nothing wrong with going a little bit longer if you have good content that's going to keep people's attention. And I can be wordy, so I could go, I could talk for 30 minutes on a topic, but I really challenge myself to keep it in that 10-minute range.
Okay. And so now I've got to ask you the why, though. So you are I think you say you're a belief breakthrough coach.
Yes.
Why don't you, for listeners who don't know, explain what that means? I mean, what do you do for your clients?
Yeah, so I've been doing this for close to 10 years. I work specifically right now with female entrepreneurs to help them overcome limiting beliefs that are holding them back in their business. So ultimately, we can only grow, our businesses can only grow as big as we can. So if we're struggling with our own beliefs, emotions, even habits, or even things like relationship struggles, personal bottlenecks, all of those things are going to impact our business. So in order to up-level our business, we really have to up-level ourselves in our lives. So that's the work that I do. Some people will call it mindset work, but it's a little bit different than mindset work. And I also focus a lot on productivity and just getting things done, because most times when we're at that kind of hitting our own glass ceiling, we're overwhelmed, we're scattered, we're not getting anything done. We're worried about scaling our business because we're thinking it's going to scale our stress levels. And there's just a whole lack of organization and productivity that goes along with it. So I tend to focus a little bit of both on the very practical side of things, but also on that deeply emotional, psychological, and habit forming side of things as well.
Okay. And so with that background, and I wanted to get that out because I'm not sure, but I'm guessing that may have been part of the reason you chose YouTube because it fits in with your business model.
I think so. So for me personally, there's a lot to be said about hearing somebody's tone of voice, seeing facial expression, and seeing body language. That's why video is getting popular right now, I think, because we're missing that in our kind of virtually connected lives. We're not getting that kind of information in our communication with people. And then, you kind of spiral down into miscommunication. And then, that can go off into a whole thing of internet trolls and people getting angry at people online. And a lot of times it's just because we forget there's a person on the other side of that screen. So I really wanted to tap into that because what I'm talking about is a deeply personal topic. I wanted to make sure that people saw my face because I can go deep and be very serious, but I'm a big goofball too. And I love
I can attest to that. You are definitely a goofball.
I am. And I love being able to convey that to people with little tiny things, like a little pop-up of words on the screen while I'm talking to make a joke about what I'm saying, or, just to make a funny face or to say something in a way that's not going to come off the same in a blog post or in a newsletter, but people are going to be able to, learn to maybe laugh at their limiting beliefs or their bad habits or those crazy thoughts that they're having. I want to bring in humor and personality and fun because this stuff ultimately, it's all fun. It's all silly. Like we're crazy human beings and we need to learn to just play with that fact. So that was a big part of it for me. Like being able to convey more of my personality through video is really important. But I think also part of the reason that I went with video is that I'm comfortable in front of a camera. It doesn't make me uncomfortable. So because it does make most people uncomfortable, I was like, you know what, I kind of have a leg up. This is an area that a lot of people are not yet doing or doing well. Why not go with my strengths and have fun with this? A couple other reasons that I decided to go with YouTube is that I was getting at the beginning of this last year, I actually was putting all of my effort into growing Instagram. That was going to be my go-to because I personally loved Instagram. Instagram burned me out really fast. And I started to realize, it's very difficult. I have 3,800 followers on Instagram, but maybe 50 to 100 of them see my content. That's very frustrating. With YouTube, that's not the case. If somebody subscribes to you, they're going to see you in their subscription feed, and they're possibly, if they hit the bell for notifications, they're going to get emails every time you launch a video. Yep. So you're actually getting in front of the audience that wants to see you. The second thing was I was creating all this great content for Instagram. Like I was putting so much into these captions and they were never getting seen again. And I'm just going, this is not a search engine. Facebook is not a search engine. You can't find anything when you're searching for it on these two platforms. So although they're great and I use them in different ways now, I wanted to be where people could find me when they needed me. And YouTube is the second largest search engine owned by the first largest search engine, Google.
Yeah.
So to me, it was just a no-brainer. I'm like, I got to go where people are going to find me when they need me and not just happen to stumble across me and then hope that they see me again in their feeds.
Yeah. And I think you hit an interesting point there. I mean, in a lot of ways, YouTube, yes, it's a content strategy, but I think of YouTube in my mind, kind of like Pinterest, where Pinterest isn't a social media site. I mean, they're both search engines for people to find you who don't yet know you. Yes, your followers will find you. Yeah. But it's about being discovered. Whereas, and I'm with you on Instagram. I think on Instagram, essentially what happens is your core diehard followers who interact with everything you do, they are going to see your stuff. Other than that, people probably aren't.
Exactly.
But I also liked what you said at the beginning. And I think of it as kind of I don't want to say a hierarchy, but you can think of it as like steps. I mean, the least personal way to connect is with blogs. Then I think podcasts or any kind of audio are next, and then YouTube or any kind of video is the step up from there, I think, because it just makes it much easier. So, and it's interesting. I'm in the process of launching quick tip videos, and I need to figure out my YouTube strategy for it as part of it. So
it's a thing. Let me tell you, it's a thing. There's a lot of reasons why I love YouTube, but if I had known some of this stuff before I started, I don't know if I would have done it. It's legit.
So I'm going to get to that in a second. Okay. But first, I do want to talk about, how have the results been? Are you getting traffic, leads, subscribers out of it?
I am. So I've only been doing this now for how many months is that? Maybe 5 or 6 months?
Not even 6, 5 months, I think.
Yeah. So, and I am already seeing a lot of traffic. I'm seeing leads. So almost every one of my videos points to a opt-in of some sort. So I'm seeing leads from that. I'm seeing steady subscribers. The thing that gets me the most excited, though, is that some of my videos are still getting watched. The watch minutes or the total views is going up and up and up every day. And that's still driving traffic. So this is what blogs used to do like 10 years ago when I got started. You would create a good blog post and it would continue to drive traffic and drive traffic and drive traffic. That's what I'm seeing happening with the YouTube videos. I'm creating it one time, but people are seeing it over and over and over and over again. If the content's good, they're going to share it, and it can stay relevant for a lot longer. So I'm seeing subscribers, I'm seeing YouTube subscribers, I'm seeing newsletter subscribers, I'm seeing people coming over to my Instagram, and I'm just getting amazing feedback from people and making really great connections and having people come to me asking me, are you coaching? Are you doing this? Without me having to actively even do any of that, because I'm not actively doing any of that right now while I'm building other things. So it's been really cool to have that kind of already working for me and building that buzz without me having to do much for it. It's been great.
And so I think there's a couple things I do want to kind of dive in on that. I think there's a magic. Do you have to have 500 subscribers before you can get your custom URL?
100.
100. So you have to get to 100 subscribers to get your custom URL.
Yep.
How long did it take you to get there?
I actually was there before I launched because I happened to have a video that had been hosted on YouTube for a private Facebook of mine, and that had just randomly gathered 100 people. Okay. But when I decided to launch, I put it out to my list. I put it out to Facebook groups that I was in. I put it out to my Instagram, and I gained probably 150 within a week or so anyway. Okay. So that's what I would recommend to anybody that's doing this. Ask your sisters, your mom, your neighbors, your current list, your clients, Facebook groups with your ideal client in them. Let them know that you're launching this and ask them to subscribe. Okay. And that's going to get you to that 100 a lot faster. That's the biggest thing I see from people who are struggling with YouTube. They don't promote their YouTube. They let it all be organic. And I'm like, no, you got to go out there and do some hustle. Like, we promote every single video like crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think, look, anytime you're creating any kind of content, you've got to promote it. Yes, hopefully some people will find it organically, but in the long term, you hope that the organic tail builds up.
Yeah.
But
oh, yeah. And that definitely does. But when you're getting started, you gotta pound some pavement.
Yeah. And I know, so what is your subscriber? How many subscribers do you have at this point, round numbers?
I have about 850 at this point, okay. And that's with taking a full 5 weeks off over the holidays.
Okay. And so really you've been at it for probably about 4 months of actual content creation. And so those 850 people, they get a notice every time you send something out?
The ones that have turned on the bell for notifications, which not everybody does.
Okay.
But a lot of them have also subscribed to my newsletter. So they're getting my newsletter that lets them know the emails or the videos there as well.
Okay. And so let me ask you this. What if they haven't turned on, whatever the notifications or whatever, but they've subscribed? What does that mean then, realistically?
So what that means is when they go back to the app or go back to YouTube, they have a subscription tab. Okay. And they go to that and they can see all the new videos. Or if they are watching another video, YouTube is going to suggest one of your newer videos if they think it's something that they're going to want to watch. They'll say, hey, here's a recommended for you. It's somebody that you're subscribed to. You haven't seen it yet. So they're going to try to push your videos out to them as well.
And you mentioned the suggested videos. I also understand that's a big part of winning on YouTube is getting on those suggested videos. And
yeah,
I'm assuming that's an algorithm and we don't know exactly how it works, but basically
we have a basic idea of how it works. Okay. YouTube does a couple different things. They try to promote videos similar to the one you're watching. Mm-hmm. They also look at other videos that you've watched and try to promote those. And then they just look at popular videos and try to promote those as well. So sometimes you'll go to a video that you're watching and you'll notice that the suggested videos are almost all from the person that you're watching. And then sometimes they're super random. And I don't know why that is. That might be more of a keyword thing that person is doing, or it might be the popularity of that person's videos. If somebody binge watches your videos, it's more likely that YouTube is going to suggest more of your videos after that first one, because YouTube's going to do whatever YouTube can to keep people watching videos.
Yeah.
So if you've got a longer video, that might get suggested over a shorter video, because YouTube's like, hey, this person, people watch 50% of a 10-minute video versus 50% of a 2-minute video. That's 4 extra minutes on the app. Let's recommend the longer video.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that go into it. But yeah, suggested videos, if you can pop up in suggested videos, that's where it's at over search terms even, because then it's exponential. I mean, you can get seen thousands of times a day versus however many times a month that keyword is being actually searched for.
Yeah. Well, and so I love that, because it all sounds like really good strategy. So it's good to know. Now it's funny you mentioned that. I couldn't help but think, yes, all of these sites are essentially designed to addict us and to keep us there as long as possible, which makes sense.
Absolutely. The thing that I like about YouTube, though, is that YouTube really works with their creators. So they do talk about their algorithm. They talk about, what can get you in trouble. Whereas, you can get a strike from Facebook and not even know why. Or you can get your Instagram shut down and not be able to contact them to get a hold of them and figure out what's happening. YouTube communicates a lot. They teach people how to make good videos. They teach you how to do, search engine optimization. Like they want you to succeed because their entire platform is based on your content. No. Where other platforms are too, but they don't rely on you in the same way.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny that you mentioned that. For a long time, one of the horror stories I would tell in my training sessions was about YouTube people getting shut down because they were violating copyright.
Right.
So it's funny. I mean, you can't do that, obviously, but
yes, but they'll tell you that.
Right. Whereas I hear right now all the buzz in all the groups I'm in, people keep getting their Facebook ads declined, and then accounts shut down, and they don't know why, and they can't figure it out.
Exactly.
I'm never sure if it's just because they haven't figured out the policies or if it's that much of a black box, but
it can be complicated. We've had some ads denied and we couldn't figure out why, and we just had to keep testing changes to it to see what would get approved. It's definitely confusing.
The funniest thing was one time Facebook declined one of my ads. I think it was a boosted post or something about like a legal tip as a get rich quick scheme, which I thought was quite hilarious. I'm like, yes, legal is get rich quick. That's right.
Right.
But at any rate, now I kind of want to dive into the creation process.
Sure.
So let's talk. I want to talk right now before we actually are creating. I'm talking about scripting, planning, all of that.
Yeah.
Do you have a standard kind of format that you use for the flow of your videos?
I do. And it wasn't my idea. I totally stole it from a course from Sunny Lenarduzzi.
Okay.
But essentially what you do is you do a hook at the beginning of the video, because you only have about 15 seconds to grab somebody's attention, because 2019, none of us have attention spans.
Right.
So in 15 seconds, you have to grab them and tell them why they want to watch that video. And I've been experimenting with this and, trying to stretch it out a little bit longer than 15 seconds or a little bit shorter than 15 seconds. But ultimately, right away, you want to tell them what this video is about, who it's for, and why they're going to want to watch it.
Okay. Can you give me an example of that?
Yeah. Okay. So in this video today, we're going to talk about why you want to be building on YouTube and 3 of the mistakes you have to avoid if you don't want to end up like a total spaz. I don't know.
Right. But so the point is
totally riffed.
Yeah, that's fine. But you give them a why, and then you tell them what they're going to learn as well, basically. So you give them the why and the what very quickly. Okay.
Yes. Like I said, I'm experimenting with that. So like the video that's actually launching today as we're recording this is a little bit less of that. In the first 30 seconds, it's more of me kind of preaching because that's sort of what I'm known for. And I haven't brought a lot of that in my YouTube channel yet.
Okay.
So I'm kind of preaching why they need to like the topics on procrastination, why they need to stop procrastinating. And then I'm saying, now I'm going to teach you how to stop procrastinating with 5 steps. And then we go into the rest of the video. Okay. So there's some experimentation that I'm playing with to see how it goes because I want to bring my own style and my own voice into it and not make every video a cookie cutter of itself. But there is still that component of like in the first few seconds, I'm grabbing them with the emotion behind what I'm saying. Yeah. So it's still catching their attention and hopefully going to get them to watch the video. We'll see. We'll see how this one goes.
Okay. So I stopped you in the middle of talking about the flow. So you start with the hook and then what comes after the hook?
You do an intro of yourself. You try to give some credibility. So, you might say I'm the creator of X, Y, or Z, or, I've helped 100 people do this exact thing, or here's some social proof of what I'm talking about. Something so that you're building a little bit of credibility into who you are. This is specifically from a business standpoint, by the way. Right. If you're just doing a YouTube, like makeup tips, it can be totally different.
Right.
But when you're actually a business, you're doing this because you want clients, not subscribers. You're trying to really build yourself. Usually I will try to say something along the lines of make sure you watch to the end of this video because of X, Y, or Z. It might be a freebie. It might be a bonus tip, something like that. But I'm just trying to remind them to keep watching the video and not click off because YouTube is distracting. There's other videos. They're reading comments at the same time. Like I'm trying to keep their attention.
Okay.
And then I go through my talking points. And it's just, tip 1 or step 1, reason number 2, that sort of thing as I'm going through it. At the end, I am leading into usually my newsletter and telling people to sign up for some freebie. Mm-hmm. Or if not that, I might be telling them to jump into the Facebook group. Something along those lines. I'm going to try to promote something because I want to make sure that I'm capturing that person. And then I'm letting them know if you're a female entrepreneur, be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, share with your boss lady friends, and I'll see you next week. And that's basically the whole outline or the flow of it. In terms of scripting, when it comes to actually putting the video together, you've got to do a lot of what a lot of people call pattern interrupts, which is like adding in little pop-ups and doing slides and B-roll and things like that to keep it visually interesting because ultimately the videos that I do are talking head videos. It's just me staring at the camera, saying something like a bobblehead. So I've got to find ways to make it visually interesting and add sounds and things like that, especially pop-up sounds, because if somebody's scrolled down to the comments, if they hear a pop-up sound, they want to go back up and see what that was. Okay. So we're doing little things like that to try to keep people's interest or, get them rewatching things, rewatching parts of the video, things like that, so that we're grabbing interest for as long as possible and then getting them to subscribe as well.
Okay. And so why did you choose to just do talking head?
It's easier. I see some people doing YouTube videos and they are recording every 2 sentences from a different location. And I don't just mean different spots in their office or their home. They're like at a coffee shop. They're doing, they're at a park. They're with their dog outside. Homie ain't got time for that. Well, we needed simple, no worry about background noises, no worry about lighting, like set it up once, deliver the content, and get back to work because it is a lot. It is a lot of work.
Well, here's hoping that those people are at least mega batching that stuff so that
oh my gosh,
do it. And so, I mean, listeners, one thing I would suggest if you're thinking about this, I think the type of thing you could use rather than doing crazy things with talking head is something like Animoto. And I had, Jason, I think Shao is how he pronounced it, one of the founders on back in episode 53. And that gives you the ability, you can put,
Yeah.
little, panes where, text will pop up, and then you could have a video, and then you can go to something else. So that may be an option if you want talking head with something else. But I'm sure that, Tara, you're going to give us some suggestions on how you put these things together. But I do want to ask about scripts. Do you actually write a script, or do you have bullet points and just kind of riff?
As I have gotten more comfortable doing this, I started off with a script, and what I found was it was too scripted. My personality wasn't coming through. If I practice something too much, I just become robotic and I lose, I need to stay in the moment and in the flow, because whatever good content is going to come to me, it's not going to come twice.
Right.
So the first time, if I'm writing something down and I have a really good comment, I can never deliver it the same way as I just delivered it in my head. So what I try to do is stick to bullet points, maybe a few talking point, like a sentence or two. But as much as possible, I try not to script too much, just so that I can keep it conversational. I want it to feel like I'm actually talking to you in a conversation. And I can go back to my first videos and I'm like, oh, that's terrible. I hate it already. And I'm just a couple months in. I feel much more comfortable now I just have a document pulled up on my computer. It has the bullet points. I usually will script the intro, because that's where I get mixed up a lot, or I will talk too much. So I'll script my intro to keep it short, and I will script my outro. So that will be my opt-in, whatever I'm saying for the opt-in, and that will be my, drop a comment, subscribe, watch this next video, all of my outro comments. That way those don't get too wordy, but the rest of it, I try to stick to bullet points, and then my editing happens. Editing is a big, big deal when it comes to these, and I'm always thinking of the F. Scott Fitzgerald quote, "You must be willing to murder your darlings."
Yep.
I'm a talker, and I can get wordy, and we have to go through. My husband is doing all my editing right now, and we go through together, and I tell him what we can murder, because you just have to. You have to cut it down brutally, and it's tough sometimes, but it's just the way to do it.
Okay. Yeah. And that's the thing. There's no way I could do a script. I've tried to do scripted stuff before. When I was first kind of getting into the online space, I would try to do scripted video sales letters, short ones. And they're horrible, because I can't go off a script. Yeah. I'm like you. I've got a riff. So now once you've got it, kind of your plan for the video, now I want to talk about the actual creation when you're creating it.
Yeah. So
what is the process? What are you shooting it on? All those kind of details.
Oh, homie. Let me just tell you, this is the worst part of it. So let me just say, first of all, I do batch, because if I didn't, I would not be able to keep up with this. It is time consuming, like a mother lover. It is crazy. The first thing that I do is I have a huge brainstorm of content ideas. And I go through that and I try to find 8 ideas with decent keywords behind them. Because I'm new, I don't just want to create any content. I want to create content with some search power behind it. Because otherwise it's just never going to get seen, and I'm not going to gain the traction. So that in and of itself is probably one of the worst parts of this whole process. I do not love it at all. But I have to go through, I have to find at least one really decent keyword, and I'm usually targeting something with about 1,000 in search volume. So about 1,000 people are searching it on Google. And then I'm also looking at things like TubeBuddy, which is going to tell me what that keyword looks like on YouTube if it's too saturated. So, if I was doing like makeup tutorials, obviously that's going to be way too saturated. But if I'm doing something like procrastination, okay, what combination of words can I put together for procrastination that's getting searched? So it just happened to be how to not procrastinate. Not like how to overcome procrastination, nothing else. How to not procrastinate. I was like, okay, let's go with that. And then you got to find other search terms, like secondary keywords, to go with it. So I'm doing this for a batch of 8 at a time. And it's tricky because I haven't been able to outsource it. Because as I'm doing my keyword research, that might change the content of my video. Because whatever my video content is going to be, it needs to match that keyword. I need to use that keyword phrase multiple times in my video, the exact phrase. And if I stumble across another keyword that's slightly different, that people are going to be looking for, maybe how to overcome procrastination at work, or how to overcome procrastination in, I don't know, X, Y, or Z, I might be switching the content of my video. So I can't outsource it because my assistant can't get into my head to know, hey, is this a topic she could talk on instead?
Right.
So it's very time consuming. I probably spend depending on how quickly I find the keywords, it could be anywhere from 20 to 45 minutes just searching for one video's keywords and getting that figured out.
Okay.
And then scripting the, actual script as well. That's going to take anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how frustrated I am at that point. And so I'm doing that over a period of a couple days because I'll do a couple videos at a time until I'm just like, oh, I'm over it. I don't want to touch it anymore. Then I'm putting together all the scripts. I'm coming back and figuring out a day that has full sun. And I'm recording in the morning because the sun comes into my window in the afternoon and I get these crazy lines from the blinds, and it messes up my lighting, and then I'm messing with my camera and it's a big pain in the butt. So I've narrowed that down. I know my recording hours. I know what days I need to do. I just have to hope that my neighbor's not outside messing with his trash cans, which happens every single time I record. Every time they are out there, he just bangs on the trash cans all day long. We actually just put it into our videos at some point. I'm like, really, guys? It's just a thing.
Sounds like you need a new neighbor.
Actually, they just moved. I'm really hoping my next neighbor works during the day. This one worked from home also. And I'm like, oh, please let them have a 9 to 5. That'd be great. These are the things you don't think of until you have a camera rolling and a mic on and you're worried about lighting and we have to worry about the clouds going in front of the light. Even though we use some artificial light behind the camera, we're trying to use natural light as well to get the right look for the video. And so if that cloud goes behind it, or if I've set up my lighting settings on my camera, when there's a cloud in front of it and then the cloud leaves, I turn into this blown out ghost. The struggle is real. People don't realize how much goes into these videos. It is a lot, especially in the beginning as you're getting the hang of it. We're getting better and better. And I'm just hoping within 6 months we have this nailed down, because otherwise I'm not going to be doing 2 a week. I'm going to be going back down to 1 a week.
Yeah, well, what I've noticed about you, when you decide you're going to do something, you jump all in. 2 videos a week. And I think on Instagram right now, you're doing 3 posts a day.
Well, I was. That we stopped that real fast. That lasted about 7 days. I was like, nope, I'm done. Can't do it.
Okay, so let's talk about your setup now. So you said you've got a light. So I think I've seen it. You have a ring light, right?
I have a ring light and I have 2 softbox lights because the ring light is really only good up close.
Right.
And I'm not doing all the videos up close. The softbox, you can do some fill light in the back. You can do some lights in the front. You can offset the shadow from the windows. All of those are on Amazon. I have it's called a Neewer ring light with 2 E's, Neewer. That was maybe $100. And then softbox lights, I don't remember the name of the brand, but they were maybe $70 and they work great. And we set those up. We have them in the other room. We pull them into the office. We set it up as a 3-point lighting system. You can look on YouTube to figure out what that means and how to set them up. And then we set up our camera.
It sounds very similar to my setup, although mine is basically always sitting in my office constantly. So, but what kind of camera are you using? Because you're using a higher quality camera, right?
We are, and you don't have to, but we happen to already have this camera. So it's a Canon 80D, not ADD, like attention deficit disorder, although sometimes I feel like it is. 80D, and then we have 2 different lenses. We have a 35 millimeter 1.4 lens, which gives me a really nice blurred out background, but it's fixed focal length, so that I'm not even sure if I'm saying the words right. I'm not a camera expert. I could be totally off on this, but it's fixed, so I can't zoom out. This is the first videos that I did were all on this lens, and really all you can see is from the shoulders up with this lens. But when we were in my other office, before we switched rooms, I had less light. So this lens really let in a lot of light. It looks like I'm in a very bright room. I was not. That was all the lens. Now we're experimenting with an 18 to 300 millimeter lens, and it's only a 4.0, but it gives me a wider frame so that more of me can be in the video, or I can be at different lengths. Like I can sit up close to the camera, but I could also be further away. You know, if I'm doing something on a whiteboard, you can actually see the entire whiteboard now.
Okay.
So I think we had to buy both of those separately. I don't think either one of them came with a camera, but those are the ones that we're experimenting with at this point.
Okay. And so does it just record directly onto a memory card on the camera and then you download it? Okay.
Yeah. And then we have a lapel mic that actually attaches to the camera itself, which isn't necessary. You can get ones that are wireless, but I just don't trust it.
Yep.
And then you also have to do the clappy thing and sync it up because it'll actually record on a separate file. So this records directly onto the file and we don't have to sync any audio and worry about any of that.
Wait.
You do have to worry about like echo or rustling noises. We haven't figured out the mic thing yet either. That's still an experiment.
Okay, you said the clappy thing. You're going to have to tell me what.
Oh, yes. So you know how in movies they like clap down the little, like scene, cuts, whatever it is. The reason they do that is because it makes a loud clappy sound and they line up the image with or maybe it's even another piece of audio with the sound that makes, because it gives you this big spike in your audio. So you can line those up so that you're syncing the lips of the video with the words coming out of the lips.
Because what you're saying is it actually doesn't record it synced up.
Correct. It's two separate files that you have to sync.
Okay, got it.
So unless you're really good at hitting play on both things at the same time, which is not going to happen, you just clap your hands. So, and we were doing that in the beginning when we were recording, like between takes, I was clapping my hands thinking it was going to help my husband make it easier to edit. It doesn't. If you don't have to do that, I wouldn't do it. My hands just ended up really raw by the end of a video because I was recording one part of it and then I would look at my notes and there would be this 30-second delay and he's like, I just look for the delay and cut those. You don't have to clap. But I was clapping between every one of them and hard and loud and I felt like a penguin and it was terrible. So we stopped doing that part of it.
Okay. And so let me ask you this. Since you're batching a bunch of them together, do you do wardrobe changes in the middle?
I do.
Okay. I wasn't sure on that. I batched about 14 videos for Facebook or for that, and I think I used like 4 different shirts that I would change.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's one of the other hard parts is have I done laundry? It doesn't have to smell good, thankfully. And I only have to look good from usually the waist up. So a lot of times I'm in my pajama pants with a really nice shirt on and a full face of makeup. But then I have to go change, try to, maybe do something slightly different to my hair and try to remember to change my jewelry. Sometimes I'll remember to change my necklace, but not my earrings so that they don't match. And most people do not notice this kind of stuff, but I do. So it drives me crazy to look back at some of my old videos. I'm like, oh, I'm wearing my silver necklace and my gold earrings. What a dork.
Well, so luckily that's just not an issue for me. And my hair can only be done one way. So it's just the shirt that has to change.
But what's really great is like I have a couple shirts that my dogs have jumped on and tore holes in the bottom. And I can't bring myself to get rid of them because I still like them, even though I never wear them because they have a giant hole. I can wear them in my YouTube videos. Nobody knows. It could have a stain on it. The back of my hair can be messed up. Like I couldn't get it straightened or curled just right. Doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is like this 3-foot box looking directly at me from my shoulders up. So as long as like the sides of my hair look good and my makeup's done and the top of my shirt is clean, you won't notice anything else. It's perfect.
So I got to be honest now, if I ever when I'm watching your videos, I'm going to be wondering, is that one of those shirts with the spot on it? Is that one of those shirts that has, it's torn on the bottom? So
exactly.
Okay, so we talked about this, but I do have to ask you, for an 8 to 10 minute video, on average, how long does it take you to actually shoot that one video?
In the beginning, it was taking me about 45 minutes. Okay. Now it depends on my mood. And is it the first video of the day or the last video of the day? It generally will take me about 20 to 25 minutes now to get about a 10-minute video.
Okay. And then you're done with it and your husband has to edit it. Is that right?
Yeah, poor guy.
And what is he using to edit? Is he using a software online? What is it?
We started off with just iMovie because we already had it, and Canva. And that was kind of a pain in the butt because you're creating stuff in Canva, you're dragging it into iMovie. Maybe you have to go back and edit something in Canva. We just upgraded to Final Cut Pro, which is basically iMovie on steroids. So it wasn't a huge learning curve to figure out how to use it, but it does a lot more stuff. So we can add in more slides and things like that, which we haven't yet. We bought it, but we don't have the time to learn how to use it. So we're using it like it's iMovie.
Okay.
Because good enough is good enough.
Yeah. And you said you put pop-ups and you put, put words over the screen.
Yeah. Like for instance, I will say things sometimes and I don't realize how dirty they sound until after like we're recording and we're watching it back to cut it down. So one of my things was I was talking about affirmations and I said, just like the affirmation was, I can do hard things. I do hard things all the time. We died in editing watching that. So we had to do a little pop-up hashtag. That's what she said. Stuff like that brings us joy. My husband loves to take all of my goofy outtakes because I'm in front of the camera and I know he's watching stuff. So I'll be a total goofball and just do something crazy like booyah. The last video he made, he turned booyah into a little rap song. So it's like booyah, booyah, booyah. This is how we entertain ourselves when we work from home. We don't see people, so we make videos. And
do you actually put that stuff in the final videos?
Some of it, usually we try to. Some of it can be a little inappropriate, so we pull that aside for ourselves.
Okay.
But yeah, we have a blooper reel usually at the end of the video with goofy stuff, or sometimes we'll just leave it all throughout the video.
Great. Okay, so now the video is created. And you got to upload it to YouTube. And I'm not going to talk about the upload process, but I assume you have to be very careful in how you write the description to get all the keywords and do all of that optimization stuff.
Exactly.
And then once that's done, which again, I think that's largely like general SEO optimization, I assume, right? You're just trying to sound natural while using the words.
Yeah, pretty much. You want to write for humans first, but you want to lace in the words. And a lot of times I'll have some extra keywords that were in my tags that I can't really put into the description without sounding like a goofball. So what I've started to do at the end is just be like, other things you might have searched for to find this video. And it will list the rest of my tags.
Okay.
I don't know if that works or not, but that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, why not? So once it's done, and you mentioned this earlier, you kind of hinted that you have to promote it.
Oh, yeah.
And so how do you then go to promote it?
A couple of ways. So the way that I look at my YouTube, I look at it like, there was a word that I had for it, but I'm pulling a blank on it. So whatever. Basically, everything starts with YouTube and goes out from there. So my YouTube video goes onto my blog with a full transcript so that I'm hitting Google search engines twice. Okay. So the video is, and all the keywords from the transcript are on the blog with the video embedded as well. So if people come to the blog, they can watch the video or they can read. I highly recommend watching it because it just doesn't read the same. Right. Well, so I don't talk the way I write.
Yeah, I start a lot of sentences with so and
me too.
I have noticed when I do captions on my Facebook ads for videos.
Yes. So is the smarter version of
Yep.
That's all it is. It's a filler word. And I have a lot of other crutch phrases that crutch, whatever they are. I have a lot of other phrases that I use a lot, and you don't realize until you have to watch yourself. And when you're editing your own video, you're watching yourself for about 3 hours say the same things over and over. I get so tired of my own voice. This is part of why my husband edits. And I look at it at the beginning and I look at it at the end of the process because I'm like, I can't listen to myself that much. Thank goodness he loves me because it gets so old to hear me say, so. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can be edited out, but not always.
Yeah, I see it every time that I load a video up onto Facebook and I'm going to run an ad and it's going to generate the captions and I go through and edit the captions. I'm like, oh.
Yes, it's painful.
But I know I'm not going to, so.
It's painful.
Okay, so now, yeah, we literally both just said so. Once you're ready to promote it, you said you have it on your blog as
we put it out on the blog with the video embed and all the transcript. We send it out to the newsletter, and usually in the newsletter, I'm actually linking to the video itself and not the blog, because I'm pushing the YouTube algorithm most, because that's where I want to get recommended videos. I want YouTube to recommend my video, all of that stuff. So I don't want people going to the blog just yet and reading instead of watching. I want those views to show up on the video. I want comments. I want likes. I want all of that.
Okay, well, let me ask you that. So are you doing a YouTube video embed on your website?
Yes.
And so someone watches it there, that will count as a watch just as if they did it on the app?
It does. But if they can't like it, and if they want to leave a comment, they then have to go to YouTube, and most people won't do that. If they're going to leave a comment, they'll probably just leave it on the blog.
Okay.
So I'm pointing everybody back to the YouTube in the newsletter. So that's my first. Now I'm noticing every time I say so. Thanks a lot, Bobby.
Yeah, once you do it, you notice.
It's terrible. So I'm pointing everybody back to YouTube through the newsletters. That's the first way that I am promoting it. Then I am promoting it on my Facebook page. And the way that I promote it on the Facebook page is we create a teaser. And this will be anywhere from 15 to 30, maybe even up to 60 seconds of a teaser. We're kind of still experimenting with these too. And the teaser will basically just be the intro of the video, the little short hook in the beginning, with maybe some little clips from the video if we can pull it together. Sometimes we can't. And again, good enough is good enough. And then the end of the video says, to watch this video, search these keywords. And what it will be is my keyword phrase, so how to not procrastinate, plus my name. Because I want them, well, this is for a couple reasons actually. I want them to go to YouTube and search that keyword phrase and my name, because that's telling YouTube, hey, people want to watch this video. So they're going to start to promote it to more people. But also, if I link to the actual video, either in my Facebook post or in the Facebook comment, Facebook will not show that post to anyone, like maybe 5 people, because Facebook does not want to promote YouTube, because Facebook is now trying to compete with YouTube with Facebook Watch and Facebook Lives and all that. They don't want to drive people off of Facebook. So I upload a video to Facebook, and in that video I say, search for this full video on YouTube. And it stinks, and people will ask me, like, why can't you just link to it? And I just tell them, because Facebook's a butthole. Sorry. And then I tell them, if you don't want to, just sign up on my newsletter and I'll send you the direct link. So, I can promote my newsletter either way.
There you go. Loop them back. That's a good point.
Oh, yeah. Every time, baby.
So how many views are you getting on a video, and do you measure it on the first day, the first week? How do you measure the metrics and set key performance indicators?
Yeah. Well, it varies a lot. It depends on the time of year. So I was noticing as we were getting into the holidays, I wasn't getting much traffic on that first day. You really want to get traffic on your first 2 to 3 days. Actually, first 24 hours is the most important. First 72 hours is the next important. When we promote, the other ways that we promote too is we are sharing from that Facebook page post. I'm sharing that into my personal profile. I'm sharing that into my Facebook group. And I'm sharing that same one so that that's getting lots of views, so that hopefully Facebook will push that out to more people as well. So I'm trying to condense it down and not share 5 different posts, but share one post in 5 different places. And then we're putting it on Instagram and things like that too. What was your question?
How do you look at the key indicators? What are you looking at? Is it views, subscriptions, clicks, links? What do you measure?
You're looking at all of it over time. But in the first 24 hours, what I want to see is 100 views. Where I'm at right now, I want to see 100 views in the first 24 hours. That tells me if the topic was good, if the title was good, if the thumbnail was good. Are people, when they're seeing it being promoted, I also promote it in other Facebook groups, like other people's Facebook groups that allow promotion. If I'm seeing that, I'm knowing, okay, this is a topic that has a little bit more interest behind it. So I'm looking for that. If I've only got 20 views in the first 24 hours, I'm going to try to push it out a little bit more, because maybe it was just a timing thing. I may also decide to change up the title or the thumbnail or even my descriptions of it as I'm promoting it so that people have a better understanding of what it is. So I'm always watching those things and trying to learn what's working, what's not working. And that's difficult. I'm not going to lie. Like I don't get that perfect all the time. And, again, good enough is good enough.
Right.
But I'm trying to watch all of those things. Over time, what you should see, it's less about the views as it is the retention rate. So what I do in YouTube, you can go in your analytics and you can see how long was somebody watching. And if you're losing a lot of people in the first, minute, you want to look at why. Are you not getting to the content fast enough? Is the content not interesting? Is there something that we can do better in our next videos? That's the most important because, again, as a business, I'm not trying to go viral. I'm trying to reach the right people with the right message. So I'm not so worried about how many subscribers I'm getting or how many likes I'm getting or how many views I'm getting. I'm concerned with who's watching the video. Are the comments they're leaving engaged comments or just like, great video, thanks, come check out my video?
Right.
And, are these people, am I getting leads to my newsletter? Like, am I converting people? I want quality people. I want to connect with the right people. And if they're watching the content, that's what I care about. That's when YouTube is going to start pushing your video out to more people as well. If they're watching more of that content, they're going to push it out to more people like that person. So I'm really trying to make sure that I'm talking directly to my person. Like I keep them in mind. I visualize them in front of that camera. And I pretend that I'm talking to a few key people that I really love to work with so that I keep my personality up. I'm using the right phrases, all of that sort of thing.
I think the important lesson in there is that if someone's going to start a YouTube channel, they need to know what their ultimate goal is.
Yeah.
And you need to be tracking the metrics that relate to that. For example,
exactly.
I always hear this story, and because I have a child who is 5 years old, I know all about it. There's this guy, Ryan, who all they care about are views because they're making, I think they made $22 million in ad revenue last year or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
So you need to know what your metrics are and what matters to you. So, but I'm like you, I would want people signing up for my newsletter and getting into my overall environment. So
exactly. And I usually see about 10% of my views signing up for my newsletter, which I'm really happy about.
That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
If someone wanted to start a YouTube channel, how should they go about investigating it, figuring out whether it's right for them?
Well, how much time do they have in their schedule?
Well, let's start with baby steps here because people, I think, need to do a little bit of work to figure out from, the first perspective, and then they can go deeper. But
I mean, honestly, that would be the first thing I would ask. Do you have time in your schedule to invest in YouTube? Because YouTube takes a lot of time. It is a big learning curve. You have to learn SEO. You're learning video recording and audio recording. So now you've got to be this technical person that you're probably not. You've got to figure out editing. You've got to look at promotion. You've got to look at getting comfortable in front of the camera. Like there's a lot of skills that go into it that take a lot of time. And that's why I say, like, if I had known how much time it would take, I don't know if I would have started it or at least started it when I did, because now I'm kind of in the machine of creating content, and it can be a little hard to get anything else done, even with batching and even with outsourcing a lot of these tasks. Every single one of my YouTube videos has about 60 to 75 individual tasks associated with it.
Wow.
That take anywhere from 30 seconds to an hour and a half or 3 hours. Editing one video in the beginning was taking us 8 hours. Now we've got it down to about 3, but that's still a lot of time when you're considering even just one video a week. If you're considering more than one video a week, it's very time consuming. And as a business owner, you really need to make sure that it's the right fit for you. Make sure that your audience is there, and make sure that you're going to be in it for the long haul, because it does take time to gain that traction and start seeing some of these results. I'm just now really seeing the results of things in the past month. Like videos really starting to take off in the algorithm, and more subscriptions coming in, newsletter subscriptions coming in, things like that. Like the first few months, I was like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? 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 And I just kept having to take a breather, lots of self-care, remind myself it's going to be worth it. It's a 1-year experiment. And I'm really liking it now, but the juggle is real.
Well, it sounds to me like it is a channel that, especially now, if you're comfortable creating videos and willing to put in the time, there's a lot of upside, but there is a lot of work. It's going to be much more intensive. Like my podcast, I think I've shared this with people. I record this thing. I record an interview. Now I do my interviews and my intros separate. I record those. I send them to my editors and they do the rest. And so it's much easier for me. And I'm not as worried about SEO at this point because so I'm not having to do all those pieces. So
yeah. And I will say I'm a bit of an overachiever. It can be done simpler than we do it. But if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability to make sure that a year from now, when I'm looking at my results, I'm not wishing that I had done something different. Right. So I'd rather start off with more and, scale it back than start off with less and regret it.
Well, and it seems to me, and I'm not an expert, obviously, but it seems to me that YouTube is one of those places where doing it right is going to be worth it. But also, if you're going to do it, you should be doing it right because you need the SEO. You need those things because it's about being found.
Exactly.
And so that is an important part. And you can stand out, right? If you create a good video, attractive, et cetera, it will stand out. So
exactly. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Like I said, I'm just doing talking head videos and then we're putting stuff in and editing. It doesn't have to be like these vlogs and this fancy you can see some people do these amazing videos and they're beautiful, but my business isn't YouTube and their business is YouTube. Right. YouTube is supporting my business. So we've simplified it in ways that work for us, but we do some things that are a little bit more complicated and time consuming, like the way that we promote things, all of the different things we do for SEO. We send out pings. We just do all kinds of stuff to try to promote it. And it can be a lot. If you're not ready for it, it can be a lot. You don't have to do it that way. You can start off a little bit at a time and, scale up, but definitely just know what it takes to go into it, because the advice that's out there from YouTubers that are teaching you how to do YouTube, they don't really talk about how time consuming it is. The course that I took with Sunny was like how to, edit your video in 30 minutes. And I was like, oh, awesome. It only takes 30 minutes to edit videos. Well, she was editing a 60-second demo video and it took her 30 minutes. I'm editing 40 minutes of raw footage into a 10-minute video and learning the software at the same time. Yeah, it's different. It's different to build something now. It's even different to build it now than it was 5 years ago. I think you do have to have a different level of professionalism and, some decent lighting and some decent audio. And you don't have to go all out and get the most expensive setup. But as a business, I definitely want it to look good. I want it to look professional. So those are just things that, you got to consider, because it looks real easy on the outside, I think. It did to me anyway.
Yeah.
And then realize.
It's so easy when you look at the outside and the finished product of something, you see that and you don't realize all the work that goes into it. So yeah, I appreciate that you gave listeners here a true, honest perspective of what's involved. So let's tell users about your YouTube channel. Where can they go? Please. Subscribe to it, follow it, turn on the notifications, and everything else. Where can they find you?
Yes, please do that. It is youtube.com/Tara, Tara Wagner. You should see my little face up there with "Crush Your Goals, Not Your Soul" in the header. Hit the subscribe button and the bell for notifications to get more videos like this. And I put out 2 videos every single week on, what do I talk about? Oh my gosh. I talk about things for female entrepreneurs. Basically, I'm talking about limiting beliefs, self-care, work-life juggling acts, and productivity.
Okay. Yeah. So listeners, I definitely encourage you to do that. And we will have a link in the show notes. And I'll just tell you, knowing Tara, I'm sure that they are entertaining. They will entertain you on top of everything.
They're fun.
They're going to, I've watched some of them. Obviously, I'm not her ICA, not a woman, but.
No, he likes being called boss lady in my videos, though.
There you go.
But I have a little challenge for people. Try to figure out which videos I did the first of the day and which videos were the end of the day.
I'm pretty sure I can figure that out. You're going to get more and more. You're going to get more and more saucy by the end of the day, I'm guessing.
No, I get very serious and low energy and quiet, and I'm not smiling very much because I've been fighting with audio or I've been messing up my words. You don't see all of the clips in between where I'm like, damn it, how do I keep saying this wrong? I think one of them I said, oh gosh, I can't remember. I could ask my husband. Like some of the weirdest things will come out of my mouth sometimes. And hopefully I catch them while we're recording, but sometimes they make it into the video too.
Yeah, this is why I've decided long ago, I need whatever my content strategy is going to be, it has to be live because I'll do the same thing. I'll spend way too long doing those things. If I flub up something live, it happens. Not a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
So listeners, I definitely encourage you go to youtube.com/Tara Wagner. We'll have a link in the show notes. And Tara, I want to thank you for coming on. This has been a lot of fun and entertaining. I think you've actually given people an honest assessment of what's involved in building a YouTube channel, which I think is important too. So thank you for that.
I hope so, because anybody who's building this and looks at people who've been doing this for 2 years and have thousands and thousands of views on their videos and tens of thousands of subscribers, it's very discouraging to start out and you've got 10 views or 50 views. But that's actually really good when you're starting out. If you can get people to watch 50 people to watch that video, that's actually really good. So just if anyone's considering doing it, I hope I didn't scare you off completely. It is worth it if you know that it's the right fit for you and for your audience and you're ready to invest the time in it and stick with it, because I really am seeing it pay off. It's a lot of work. It has not been a cakewalk, but I do think it's worth it.
Yeah. And I think that came through. So I think that was very helpful. So I say thank you for that.
Thank you for having me.
So listeners, that's it for this week. Again, I hope you'll join me in the community. You can go to youronlinegenius.com/community. We'll talk more about these things. I'll talk about video. I don't do YouTube, but I'll talk about how I do video and answer questions for people if you have that there. But that's it for this week. We'll see you again here next week for the next episode of the Online Genius Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Online Genius Podcast. Make sure to tune in next week for more great tips, tricks, and strategies to help you build and protect your online genius.